So far we have introduced 3 areas of art. Okay, we've done doodling, and we introduced continuous line or sketching, and then we went forwards towards stickmen. Okay, you might argue you can do those in any order, but it doesn't matter. Now the reason we did those is because doodling was the introduction to making marks or mark making. The continuous line was the introduction of drawing and sketching. Okay, now the stickman was kind of a bit out there, but the point about stickman is that it introduced character, expression, and kind of narrative into what we're doing. Okay, so there's sort of 3 strands going on there. Now I want to come back to all those, so we haven't done with those, but I would like to start something else today. So we've got another really important ingredient of art, and that's colour. So far, as well, we've only used pencil and paper, but obviously to use colour we need to start adding something else. Now in the ideal world, we all have paint and we all have lots of nice different paints, but I don't know, I've got to go with what you've got. So I'm hoping that nearly everyone who's doing these, looking at these courses or these sessions will have some way of, some form of colour. Now, you can either, if we're using paint, the best paints to use for this part will be water-based. So you've got poster paint, which you kind of use in schools, acrylic, which I use quite often as an artist, and watercolour, which again is quite often used by artists. But obviously all 3 of these exists in schools. Now, if you haven't got any of those paints, you can use so many other things. So crayons, coloured pencils, felt tips, pastels. What I wouldn't recommend though is anything oil-based, because I think it just doesn't really work for this, and it could just end up being a bit of a mess. Right. So I'm assuming you'll have some basic colours, and again at this stage it doesn't matter what colours those are. So if you find some old poster paint somewhere and it's just sort of random kind of weird colours, it doesn't matter. It really, it's not the point. It's just about playing with those colours today. Okay, so now if you can, we'll have a little pause in a second while you go and get these. So when we come back, I'll explain what we're going to do with those colours. Okay. Right, what I've got now is I've got some basic colours. I've got some watercolour, I've got some acrylic, and I've got some brushes and some water. And fun enough, I've got some ink. I've just kind of grabbed stuff I've got. I'm obviously going to do this with paint, but if you've got things like pastels or felt tips, it's the same applied, but without water. Okay, right. What I'll do is rather just go on and on and on. I'm just going to get it going, and then I'm going to pause. I'll put it on a time lapse so you can sort of see where it's got to, and then we'll come back together. The one thing I just want to say before we get going is this is really a great thing to do together, but ideally on your own sheet. And if there's a few of you working on it at the same time, more the merrier. But anyway, kind of watch the way I'm applying it and you'll see how quickly it can go. So a bit of water, a bit of colour, okay? Something like that. Okay, so it's really, really random. Okay, and we're not spending any particular paper. Obviously, I'm working on a larger piece of paper. If you've just got a small piece, printer paper, whatever, it doesn't matter. Okay. There you go, a complete masterpiece. Obviously not, but you kind of get the gist. Now you can see this is obviously very wet. I don't know if you saw some time lapse, but I held it up. I put extra water on it, and I got good runs and moved the paper around. That is what I want you to achieve. You might argue it's a mess, but it's just a kind of loose field of colour. Again, whether it's water-based or pastel-based, felt tips, whatever. Take your time, enjoy it. Once you've finished it, let it dry, okay? And then we'll come back to this, and then we'll finish we'll do the next part. Okay, right. When your piece of paper is dry, or your basic artwork is dry, if you're in a group, I want you now to swap them round, just change pieces of paper so everybody has somebody else's. If you're working on your own, it doesn't matter, just keep what you've got. Now, the next part is to add story or imagination or a narrative to the drawing, the painting you've done. So I've got 4 titles here, okay? Now, you can either, again, if you're in a group, nominate somebody in the group to do each one of these, or you can choose them yourself. Okay, there's 4 different types, but I'm trying to. The purpose of the exercise is to try and work within these titles, randomly produced. Right. Now, the next step is to work out how to do that. Okay, that's what I'm going to explain when I get my artwork back. Right, as I just said, I was going to tell you how I want you to approach this, or how I think you should approach this. Now, I'm going to use a pen for the purpose of this, because it'll be clearer, but you can use a pencil. Now, once you've chosen a title, or you've got your title, you can either tell other people, or you can do it without telling. It doesn't matter, it's up to you. But get one of those in your head, and then I just want you to look at the picture, look at the colours, look at the shapes, and just randomly draw. And the idea is to sort of get into it and start sort of, I mean, you might pick out little shapes, you might go around things, and you start doodling, okay? And you let your mind wander. I mean, I'm picking out shapes at the moment, but you might pick out colour areas, and then you might start adding to them. But all the time you're doing this, you're trying to remember what your story is. So I'm going to do a bit more just to give you an idea. But I'm not really, I'm just showing you how to do it with a pen or a pencil. But basically, you'll then go over the whole thing in your own time. I mean, you can do it in one go, you can come back to it. I mean, to be honest, this could take a reasonable amount of time, or you can do it in 10 minutes, but just keep going. And each time, let your mind wander. Use your doodling, sketching skills that you're starting to get. Think of the story, the narrative, so whichever one you've chosen, and let it go. Okay, right. I'll come back to you when I finish the time lapse, and then we'll see where we are. Right, this is the example or the demo I've just done in the time lapse. Now, what you can see line making, color work, and we've also got the story or the narrative of the title. Now, what I saw, just to explain, I saw some sort of sunsets, daybreak kind of colors, and I saw some reflections. I saw some birds, and and then I made a bit of light music or whatever. It's supposed to be a bit abstract, a bit random, but mainly it's supposed to be enjoyable and kind of and meandering, and it's something to enjoy. So I did this quite quickly, but if you can do spend more time with it, think of it as something you can stop and start, or you can do in one go, but just get lost in it and let your imagination go and just enjoy it. Now, as I said before, I always think art is good, taught in groups, or groups work well together as artists. They kind of feed off each other, they can learn off each other. Obviously, I understand some of us, can't do it at the moment because of circumstances. But if you can, please try and post your work on a Facebook page I've created. It's linked to Tom Cringle, but just the way it is. Anyway, it's called Art Relief with Tom Cringle, and it's an open group. And the idea is we can start to post our work, and we can look at each other's, and we kind of work as a kind of group, even if we might be, unfortunately at the moment, on our own or whatever. Okay, so I'll post this one on the Facebook group, and also I'll copy and paste some links to this lesson, and so that hopefully all those things will come together. And in the next lesson, or the next sessions, we'll go back perhaps towards the other areas we've been looking at. Okay, thank you.